Hi guys, I'm Brandon from Gilmore Outdoors, and I want to start a new venture with you guys. I recently bought 200 acres here in Missouri, and I all my life have been an avid deer and turkey hunter, and that's pretty well what I've focused on. And with having a big property like this, I'm going to start a new venture into trapping that. I have a ton of predators on the property. They're showing up on my game cameras a lot, and I want to do something to remedy it. And I think trapping is the best method that there is to actually get the coyotes out of there without spooking them and making them where you can't hardly trap them. I don't mind hunting them, and I think that'll be a fun way to do it, but I do also know that I want to get rid of the most amount of predators that I can all at once, and I think trapping is the way better option for that. So, with that being said, I have never trapped anything before in my life, so I'm a YouTube keyboard warrior right now, and that's where I've learned everything as far as the trapping that I know. And so I want to take you guys along with this process. I watched a bunch of videos, read a bunch of articles on how to trap and what to do, and I want to try to consolidate that a little bit and show you guys pretty well start to finish what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to go through the process of actually unboxing these traps and seeing what they look like and how they act whenever they're out of the box, all the way through setting the traps and then seeing our results together, how the trapping actually works. So we're going to get started. I'm going to get these traps out of the box and we'll look at them. So first off, I want to show you guys what I got and where I got it from. So I got Bridger number 2 traps, and I got them from the F&T. Let me get this up here where you can see it. F&T Fur Trader or Fur Harvesters. And I didn't know anything about it, didn't know what to expect. I got my product within 4 days of ordering it, so I was super happy with that. And everything I ordered came in, all in the one shipment, so that's good. Now these traps, this Bridger trap, let's go over all the trap parts real fast on it. So first off, you have the dog, which is this little arm right here. That's the dog. This is the pan, this flat part that the animal will step on. The springs, which apply pressure to trigger the trap. And the jaws. The jaws are what catches the foot. And then this is the chain right here. This chain's got 2 swivels on it. And this is what will attach the trap to the ground along with another part. I got some quick links. This will allow you to attach the chain right here on the end. And then finally, the last thing that I used initially setting up is these earth anchors with the cable. I went ahead and bought them with the cable. I'm not going to crimp all that stuff together. They're not that expensive. And this ties onto the end of the chain, and you drive this in the ground, and that's what will hold the animal that you catch in place. Now, to start setting up the trap, there's some things that you need to know about this. Number one, I'm doing all of this before I wash and wax my traps, so that way I am touching them the least amount possible whenever I get done waxing them. Everything will be done with gloves after that, and so I want to get all of this stuff done right off the get-go. So first off, I'm going to show you a little bit of something about this pan. The pan comes super floppy like this out of the box, and you want that to trip, from everything I've read, around 3 to 4 pounds. And if you set this trap just like this right now, that will trip under a pound. You can see how that's just floppy right there. And on the one that I've already adjusted, you can see on the pan on it, whenever you raise that pan and lower it, it's pretty well held in place. So first off, I'm going to show you what you have to do to adjust that. On this, you'll see down here past the dog is a little bolt that goes through. And it's got a Phillips head on one side and a nut on the other. And that's a lock nut that's on the other side. So you'll need to get a Phillips head screwdriver and either a wrench or a pair of pliers. And then you're going to tighten that pretty well hand tight. And it's okay to over tighten it right then. I found that it's way easier to over tighten it and then loosen it up a little bit than it is to get the pliers back and tighten it and tighten it and tighten it over again. So I'm going to set these traps for you, and I'm going to show you the difference in the pressures to spring them. All right, so I went ahead and set both traps, and I'll show you a little bit about how I'm doing that. I'm still using my feet right now. I'm not going to catch my hands. I know that you can do it and it's not the end of the world, but I don't want to do it if I don't have to. But I got this Sullivan's trap tester, and you can see on here it's lined. This is going to spring down against the trap, and for every line that it goes down before it springs is a pound of pressure that it takes for that trap to set. So 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4, and if you get too far down there, sometimes this cap might spring off the end. And on the left is the trap that I've already adjusted, and on the right is the trap that comes fresh out of the box. Now, I did find that whenever you're putting this down on your pan, that you're going to get some different pressures throughout the pan, which makes sense, as it is on a hinge right there. So I found the best way to do this is to put it right in the middle and test it there, so you get the most accurate. So as you can see, 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pounds. That one's a little too heavy right there, so I'll have to back that off just a little bit on that screw. So I made an adjustment on that, and I would say don't get overzealous with how much you back off that screw. A little bit goes a long ways. So I just backed it off just a little bit, and let's see where we're at now. 1. And we were just, and I barely backed that off. I mean, I just backed the screw a little bit. So that'll just go to show you. Don't get too heavy-handed with that whenever you're backing that screw off, because now I'm going to have to tension that a little bit. And I'll go through here real fast and show you what I'm doing to set the trap. So I'm putting a foot on each side, and I'm not the greatest at this yet, but I'm putting a foot on each side, and I'm pushing down on those ears, flipping the dog out of the way, putting the jaw down, and then from the backside, and I can't hardly do this while I'm holding the phone, but from the backside with this jaw up, I can set the dog and the pan right there. And if I do it from the backside, if it springs or anything on me, I won't get caught on it. So if you do it from back here, not a big deal. But I'm going to tension that up one more time and redo it. But in the meantime, I want to show you, whenever you get them out of the box and that pan is just loose and floppy right there, whenever you do that and you test it, you can see I didn't even hardly touch it. We didn't get a full pound out of that whenever we did it. So they're set way too light. And from what I hear with the problem them being way too light like that is you'll toe trap the coyotes and then they'll pull out, or whatever predator you're trying to trap. So once you set those, you want them between 3 and 4 pounds. You get that set, and then I'll take you to the next step. All right, so I made an adjustment and got them all right on my poundages. Now I'm going to take you through the next step of this. Whenever you get your traps out of the box and you set them, you can see this pan right here is severely angled, right? It's not anywhere close to the same level as what your jaws are. And this will make for an unnatural looking trap set. And so that needs to be adjusted, and it needs to be adjusted where it's level with the jaws right there. And pretty well, whenever you mound up your dirt and everything, just over the top of the pan, everything will be flat, or otherwise that pan's going to stick out of the ground. And whenever you make that adjustment, you can see on this trap right here, that pan's lined right up with the jaws, and you'll be able to flush everything out perfectly whenever you do your trap set. So now I'm going to show you. First of all, that's what I got the pair of channel locks in here for. And this adjustment is a little bit more of a man-sized brute strength. So I'm going to spring one of these traps, and I'll show you what I do to make that adjustment. All right, so to make this adjustment, you're going to get your channel locks, and you're going to attach them right here where the dog hooks onto the main part of the trap. And then, if this takes some force, and I won't be able to do this on camera, you have to hold the trap firmly, and you have to pry the trap towards, or the ear towards the trap. And whenever you do that, that makes it to where the pan can go down more. And I didn't have to do this on every trap that I had. I only had to do it on about half of them. But the one thing that you do have to be careful of is if you take this trap and pry that too far and go in too much towards the trap, you won't be able to even set that dog down below your little catch right there. So you have to be careful about that. And like I say, I didn't have to do this with everyone. You just need to kind of check them. And if whenever you are setting your traps, they have to be up like that to catch, then you have to make an adjustment on them there. All right, so for the final step, before I take these traps to the wash, I'm gonna take this quick link and loosen it. And then the chain and the swivel right there, I'm gonna take this link and put it right through the middle of that. And I'm gonna take the earth anchor on the loop side and attach it, and then I'm gonna tighten this back up. So just screw that tight. And then I've seen a ton of people that once ever they get that hand tight are gonna take their pair of pliers and finish tensioning that up, and I think that's probably a good idea. But once we're done with that, we are ready to take these traps to the wash. So here's my breakdown of the first part of this, unboxing the traps and getting them set up. The first trap that I've ever done, never experienced trapping before in my life, it took me a half hour to get everything set right. That's probably not an exaggeration on time either. I fumbled with it, over-bent it, over-tightened, untightened, did all of the things wrong that you don't need to do. And by the fifth trap that I did, I think you can make all the adjustments that you need to make in under 5 minutes time. So I would expect that if you're experienced, obviously probably not watching this video, you don't need to know what to do. But if you're unexperienced like me, plan on it taking a little bit of time, get the learning curve. But once that happens, it's pretty easy to do. So on to our next process of washing and waxing. Washing can either be 2 parts or 1 part. I know a lot of people will put their traps in Dawn dish soap, new out of the box. And we're going to do that. And the main reason for doing that, I don't know if you can see here, but this is me working on traps all morning long. My hands are not, I'm pretty boy, my hands aren't normally nasty. But they're coated in oil, and that's machine oil, obviously, from them making the traps. So that comes on the traps. That holds a ton of scent in it. And you don't want that, and it's gonna hold any scent that you put on it. It's just gonna stick with it. The second part of it is a lot of people will put theirs in vinegar water or muriatic acid. We're not gonna do that. We wanna get these traps out pretty quick. We're not worried about getting them all colored. We got some dark colored wax, and we think just with time of them being out there, they'll catch some rust, and then we'll be able to color them later on. So I'm not so worried about that. So you can see here I got my bubble bath in my sink full of water and Dawn dish soap. And I'm just gonna take the trap and put it down in there. And I'll probably put 5 or 6 of these in there together. And I'm gonna let them soak for a while down in that. And then I'll probably get the bristle brush here in a minute and scrub on them too. And then once ever we have done that and pull them out of there, there'll be less the oil from machining, and we can start the waxing process. All right, so at this point, I have let these traps soak for a good while in some hot Dawn dishwater. And then I pulled them up a little bit, each at a time, and took the scrub brush over here and scrubbed them off and then set them back down in there. And then once I've done that, I'm gonna minimalize how much I touch them at this point. So still yet, I'm okay with the bare hand, but after this, whenever we get to the waxing process, it'll be all gloves from there. But I'm only gonna touch the earth anchor from here on. Pull this out, and you probably can't tell, but the grease is cut off of them. And you might be able to tell a little bit in the water itself there. It's changing colors as I scrub each one of these. But the oil's off of it, and that's the most important part of what you're trying to do here. So I'm gonna take these, and like I said, with just only touching the earth anchor. I'm going to sit them down in the cardboard box, let them dry off, and start the next step. All right, for the last part of this video in setting up, we're going to begin waxing our traps. I went to the local home goods store and got a pot. And here's what I want you to keep in mind with your pot. If you're going to do this inside on the stove, first of all, be careful about getting wax everywhere. But you need to make sure that whenever you put your trap down in there, the whole thing will sit in wax all at once. And you obviously don't want that wax filled all the way up to the brim of the pot, because if you have to do that and then you dip this down in there, it's going to overfill and make a giant mess. I know a lot of people do this outside with a burner and like a turkey fryer. And I think it'll work way faster like that. I don't have one available right now here at the house, so I'm just going to do it like this, and we're going to see how it works together. So I've got this new pot to do it in, and I went and bought some odorless trap wax. And the reason why you're waxing these traps is two-part. Number one, you're going to kill scent. Anything that might be left on the trap, you're going to go ahead and get rid of that. And you're going to make sure that all of the working parts of the trap don't get rusted to where they don't operate anymore. So you want to do that. And we bought dark colored odorless wax because we're not going to take the time to dye our traps. So I am going to take wax and get it started heating in this pot on the stove. And in the meantime, I'm going to go have some lunch. All right, so I've got the wax melted and at temperature. Couple things I was curious about. Number one, how long was it going to take for that wax to melt? It really didn't take that long. I think total it was 18 minutes for the wax to get completely melted at temperature. But the other thing that I was unsure of is how much wax to get to be able to cover the traps. And so this pot here is about 12 inches around. And to be able to fully cover a trap, it took 6 pounds of the odorless wax to be able to go in there and fill that most of the way up. So a couple of things to remember whenever you're doing this. Number one, you don't want to scorch this wax. So just think about if you're eating fried food and it's been cooked in burnt oil. That's going to have a distinct flavor, and more importantly for us, as far as trapping goes, a distinct odor with it, and we don't want that. We don't want to handle these anymore with our bare hands after this process. I mean, this is the point where we really care about all of the smells. So we're going to grab a trap out of the box. No big deal since we've got our gloves on here. And we're going to take this trap and carefully, without splattering it everywhere, and that'll be the other thing about doing this inside, is be careful how you do it, so we don't end up single over this deal. Get it to where it's fully submerged down in that wax. And I may need to add just a little bit more. But what you want to do is let that trap sit there until it acclimates to the temperature that the wax is. Because if you just stick it in there and pull it right back out cold, then you will get a white waxy film buildup all over this trap, and you do not want that. And then whenever you pull it out like this, you're going to let that dangle. And if you had a way to hang it, that'd probably be a really good idea. Save you some time over a piece of cardboard or something like that. But if you dip that down in there and then pull it right back out, and it looks super white and the wax is kind of caked on there, then you haven't let your trap get to temperature. You need to take the time and let that trap sit in that wax for a little while longer. If you pull it out and it's like that, just go ahead and put it back in there and let the trap reacclimate. So here's 3 little postscript things I learned after I thought I was closing out the video. Number one, and this was just kind of an afterthought, be sure that you're using a pot that's designated for this. Whenever I'm done with this, I'm going to let this wax cool here on the stove, and it'll be hardened inside this pot, and then I'll just remelt it from there. Number one, that'll save trying to transfer it into some kind of storage. And then number two, trying to clean out a pot that you might need for something else. That's going to be incredibly hard to clean out with a bunch of melted wax caked inside it. The second thing is, and this is to keep me from getting in trouble and possibly you from getting divorced, is whenever you go to pull these out, there's a ton of excess wet wax that's just going to drip right off of them. Don't just go and sling that all over the house. Hold it over your pot, and that'll help you conserve some wax. Not that it's that expensive, but every little bit saved is great. But it might save your marriage too, you never know. The third and final thing that I learned is that these traps take way longer to cool than what they do to set in the wax. So if you just take them straight out of the pot and set them straight into a box, that wax is going to clump up. So I actually redid those and devised a method here where I can hang them by that earth anchor, and they're above the ground. The wax is going to drip onto something, obviously. Once again, let's not get divorced. But then that'll give them the time that you need, because if you just go and stick them straight in the box, they're not going to dry right. Well, I hopefully can say that that'll conclude our video, and we hope that you'll look into the next video whenever we do the second part in our series in actually setting our traps. Thanks for watching this installment of the Gilmore Outdoors Trapping Series. Please like and subscribe for our next videos, which will be setting the traps.